Hi, good day, and it's Dynamic DG here. Um, I just want to talk about Brexit. Um, just a few major themes. One, the referendum or the fallout from the referendum. Two, how it would affect our tech sector, or at least my opinion. And three, what should be a best settlement for the country as a whole, and specifically also the tech sector. Well, okay, one, I personally believe that I want it to remain because I think interconnectedness of whichever form, whether cultural or political or economic, is here to stay. It's part of the human condition, especially at this level of our species development, and has been for many centuries. When we think of globalization, we think of just in the modern terms like free trade deals and, as people say, neoliberalism, which are supposed to be fair. Globalism, as they call it, is true. However, it's also facilitated by things like air travel, the internet. So these are the things essentially that promote what we were calling the contemporary sense globalization. But if you go back historically, like the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, even in Roman times, they used to trade with, say, not so much China, no, but certainly as far as India, with the Persians, with the Nubians. They had contact, obviously, with Germanics and Celts. So, the Norse had trading links from all over North, of course, in their homeland of Scandinavia, through to what is now England and Ireland, and all the way to North America. So globalization is here to stay. So what's the point then of disconnecting ourselves for what? Because we still would have to reintegrate in the global market. So in effect, what effect would it have? However, I accept that leave lost, and all this nonsense of fellow Remainers, get your MP to sign a petition because it's false. Well, that doesn't make sense. Yes, it is not a legally binding poll. Of course, it's not in the strict sense. However, it's also about however, the whole point of the referendum was, frankly, as a vote. So, if these Remain people, had we won in essence, would they still say the same thing? Of course not. So it doesn't make sense. Democracy is not an either or when it suits you. So I don't know. I just think much of the opposition to this referendum is frankly a bit petty, frankly a bit infantile. However, also, I would say that just as a brief point, I think that the UK should have secured some kind of deal, obviously, trade deal. But we'll have to see how things pan out. Also, for the Tory leadership of course, ultimately, of course, I guess more importantly, Prime Minister, excuse me, I think Theresa May looks a good bet. Why? I was very impressed with her candidacy speech. She always was one of the prominent front shadow benchers under what it be. I think it's Ian Duncan Smith and then Howard, then Cameron, both as opposition, now as in government, of course. So, I think we have to be honest, because she's a woman, and this isn't at all being sexist or misogynistic, but I think the novelty of her, well, yes, we had Thatcher, late Thatcher, but even still, I think in the times we live in where, we where we value gender equality, then having a woman being the first major country really in modern history to have had, two women as prime ministers, that's an accolade. And you have to say Thatcher, like her or dislike her, she was highly influential, in whichever way you want to put that. Excuse me. So, she's, there has to be a factor, similar to like Clinton in America. And people who don't realise it or don't want to realise it are a bit inane, really. But going on to the second point. This is vis-a-vis how it would affect the tech sector in the UK. I personally believe it won't have a terminal effect. The reason I say that is because, sorry, just trying to get away from this music, it's drowning me out. The reason I believe that is because, well, I just think that, if one wants to use an analogy to the City of London, part of the reason the City of London is the financial centre it is because, not just because of its root infrastructure, so to speak, but of the supporting and demand factor, well, not demand factors, the supporting infrastructure. So, that's the reason why I believe the UK still can be a good tech sector area, because we have people saying, well, Paris or Dublin or Berlin excuse me, are like gonna take us over, or at least surpass us, now that it looks like we're heading towards leaving. But I don't really agree with that wholly, because again, Ireland, France and Portugal don't really have our level of say network development. So I think basically it's about, I don't think we'll be affected that much. Yes, the EU does provide funding, but then it's going to take time for other countries to develop the same level of infrastructure that we have, which facilitates obviously where we are in our global position as a global leader. To use another analogy, it's kind of like saying, well, excuse me, sorry, I apologize for coughing. It's kind of like saying, well, oh well, the UK has coal, so why don't we mine coal to compete with China or compete with Poland or compete with wherever, Australia? Well, it's not that simple. Yes, we do have coal, but because they're coal deposits, they're simply cheaper to produce. So it's again, it's not that simple in any industry. But so in that context, I don't think it would damage us to that greater degree. However, I do believe that Okay, yeah, move that up. Moving on to the third point. What the fallout will be for the UK and the tech sector. Well, I'm going to be honest, I think there probably may be a recession. Not even just affecting Britain, I think all of the Eurozone, maybe the EU, will be affected also. I'm very serious for coughing. Like, yeah, I think there will be a recession. However, I do believe that it will not be a deep recession. I don't think it'll be like 2008-9 again. Possibly maybe 2-3 quarters. And even if we get a bad deal from the EU, which I don't believe we necessarily would, because I think, well, yes, I can understand the desire for them to want to make an example out of us. However, but this isn't just wishful thinking. I don't think they will, because I do believe that they trade with us a lot and we with them, so they'll take that into account and we'll come to some kind of accord. What the nature of that accord will be, well, obviously we can't say at this point, but we'll see. Also, we'll have to wait and see regarding the tech sector. I said, well, I may be reiterating some earlier points here. I don't think it would seriously damage us, but then there's a possibility that some investment may go overseas, but we'll wait and see. I personally don't think it'll be very extensive, but again, we'll have to check and note the extent of that. So yeah, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. I'm just walking and talking, so apologize if my phone's pointed towards my the floor, the pavements or roads. I apologize for that if some things are unsightly to see, but I'll do better on next video. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your weekend.